right, so this is going to be a bit of like a informal talk. So I'm just going to be going through exactly how Shopstr uses Cashu tokens to facilitate payment, and I'll like dive into the code of exactly how we use it in the application and how we like constructed the NIP-60 Cashu wallet within it. So I guess just to start off, I could just show exactly how like the payment flow on Shopstr is, and hopefully the internet is good enough that the relays are actually connecting. So we shall see. Yeah, everything seems to be working fine. Yeah, so I'm gonna go over here on my phone and essentially, actually it'd probably be easier if I do it like this. Let me, signing out should work. All right, so I'll just be unsigned in. And yeah, so I already have a listing made. It should be this meme for sale. So when I come over here and I buy now, I have two options. I can pay with Lightning. So what happens here is when it generates a Lightning invoice, you pay the payment, it generates a Cashu token, and it sends and delivers the Cashu token via NIP-4 DM. So you just like the merchant on the other end redeems it, and I'll show that flow. And you have the option to pay with Cashu. When you're paying with Cashu, you have to be signed in because it's based off of like your Cashu wallet that's in the application, and making sure that you have a NIP-60 wallet there. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's see. See if the UI breaks or not. But yeah, okay, so yeah, here's the payment page. You just said in-person order. So yeah, generates a Lightning invoice. Let me pay this. So yeah, and you don't, and whenever you're checking out, you don't actually have to be signed in. You don't have to have a Nostr account. Everything. Create an ephemeral key that delivers the Cashu token DM. So like, it kind of mitigates a little bit of the metadata leakage. Still not fantastic, but it's a step a bit better than just direct DM. So yeah, once the payment has gone through, it should give you a message that the seller will receive a Cashu token payment via DM, and I should actually be able to sign in now. And it should be in my messages page. Yeah, so this is like the Cashu token payment that I received. And yeah, so basically you have two options here. When you claim, you can either redeem. When you redeem, it just pays out to Lightning invoice. When you receive, it deposits it into your Cashu wallet within the app and creates a NIP-60 token event, and then you can carry that on over to another browser. So here I'll just receive, and then if I once it's ready, it'll alert me that has been deposited. So here it's just like creating the Cashu token events and then making sure that everything works properly. Token claimed. I come over here to the wallet, and you can see here actually I now have 300 sats. I had deposited 200 sats on another browser. So like locally here, I store like the transaction history. It shows whether or not it was a deposit, a mint, a payment, or it was sent out, and how many sats I had. So here is only 100 sats that I had deposited within this browser instance. So since I have 300, it shows that like it actually carried over into this wallet itself. So that's essentially the payment flow. Merchant scans the QR code, pays, and then they can the buyer scans the QR code, pays, generates a Cashu token, gets sent via DM to the merchant. The merchant goes into their DMs, they can claim it, and it's deposited into their wallet. So now you can carry this balance over to any other Nostr application that supports NIP-60. So now I can actually like dive into the code, and let's look at all the spaghetti code here. If anyone has any questions, comments, or like anything, just like feel free to jump in. Just let me know. But yeah, so I guess to start off, just the basic functionality of the wallet itself. So obviously, like in the wallet, as you see here, we have you have the ability to just simply receive, send, mint, and pay tokens. So you receive an actual Cashu token string, and we only support Cashu A tokens. We haven't updated to Cashu B yet. You can send tokens. You denominate the amount it sends out, and this whenever you're doing anything within the wallet, it actually publishes a spending history event. That's another thing that I didn't get into yesterday with NIP-60 because it's an optional thing. But it allows you to manage state a little bit more effectively. So you can specify where Cashu tokens are being sent, which ones have already been spent, and you can use it to more simply handle the actual state, which is probably the most complicated thing, and the thing that I'll actually want some feedback from you guys, because the biggest thing that is actually blocking NIP-60 from being merged at the moment is how we handle deletion events, because there's just like the way Pablo proposes it, as I can actually show it here. Should be a NIP-60. Redeeming a quote. Yeah, where is it? Spending history event. It might be a NIP-61 actually. Let's see if I can find it. But yeah, essentially, the way Pablo proposes it, so you have your Cashu token with your multiple proofs, and whenever you're like, if you've seen a Cashu token, it has like the proof amount, and then they're all various denominations, and whenever you're actually spending out, if you're not spending the full balance, it uses partial proofs out of the entire like token that was minted. And the way that Pablo proposes to handle the deletion, you take the proof that was actually used to be spent out and remove it from the existing token event, and you roll over the remaining token proofs into a completely new event. So and you just delete the other previous event. It can get a little complicated, especially once you have like hundreds of tokens that have been minted and like you're managing all the state. So like one approach that I actually take, which I can get into a little bit. Yeah, I'll get into it in a second. So let me just start off here. So simply, whenever you're just, yeah. I think it's yeah, like I don't think it's like the right solution, because it just adds a little bit more complexity, especially if you're not specifying your relay state, because that's something that I've encountered, like especially now that relays have been more of a concern on Nostr itself, like with outbox and all this stuff. And if you're constantly changing relays or like trying to like fine tune everything, you lose your tokens unless you actually specify a specific set of relays that you're not going to be changing for your Cashu token, the Cashu tokens you have. So you might be losing specific tokens in different state, and the fact that you have, at least in my opinion, the fact that you already have the existing the original token event, and you can just like check against the mint whether or not it's actually been spent, is usually good enough, and you can have like a larger full state token. That's the approach that I take. Instead of deleting the original the old event, the only time I delete the old event is if all of the proofs within the token have actually been spent. So if there's like partial proofs that have been spent, I don't want to manage that state, because then there's just too many resources being used, especially like on a web application. It kind of like, it's really intensive. Like, because sometimes you can see whenever you log on to Shopstr, upon first load, you actually don't get your tokens. Once you refresh, everything comes in, because it's pretty resource intensive. So yeah, instead of deleting the original event, I like to check that everything. I check all the proofs that have been spent. Remove them client side, and I can create a completely new event containing the full balance. So it's just like essentially like a full wallet state, rather than doing like what Pablo does and removing singular proofs like everywhere that they're spent. It adds a lot more complexity in my opinion. But yeah, so Ege will also like, later today is going to be going into Cashu TS. You'll be able to like see like probably I think he's going to work through actually using Cashu TS. But like I personally use Cashu TS and Nostr tools to build everything that has to do with Nostr or Cashu. So yeah, here on the mint button, it's simply calling this request mint API that I just have within here. And literally all it does is creates a new Cashu wallet, a new mint instance, a new Cashu wallet, and then it just requests a mint. And here we're actually storing, whenever you generate an invoice on Shopstr, we just store the information just to like show like, oh, how many people are actually coming to check out, testing, and doing all that stuff. And we just store the ID of the event, and then yeah, the day, the currency, the hash. Just to verify whether or not the things has been spent or not. And yeah, working with Cashu TS is like, it's one of the best pieces of software I know. It's fantastic just to be able to like pay with things. Like, because whenever I was first starting with Shopstr, like as I mentioned yesterday, Lightning was still a little bit more complicated for me, because I was like just barely getting it. I was just graduating college, so I had no work experience, and like no like professional coding experience either. So I was just like trying to like, I didn't know how to generate a LN URL invoice, and like I found Cashu, and I was like, oh, like I can just create a value and send it to someone over DM. I feel like that's a much simpler solution, especially for someone getting started, and like beautifully, it actually allows you to do a lot more cool things, more so than just like minting tokens and working with Cashu. Yeah, and that's yeah, requesting a mint is simply these 3 lines of code essentially, and then once like the actual payment is made, it generates a token and returns the token value for you, and you can just like use that, and that's how we deliver the cash token payment. And then let's see, so we mint, yeah, paying out. Let's see, paying out. Okay, yeah. So when paying out, if you see here in the wallet, uh if you see here in the wallet, I have like it displays a little balance here. So the way that I'm handling, at least at the moment, it doesn't. I'm not supporting like multi-mint payments yet, but I only display the specific balance you have on the mint you have set as your primary mint. So you can have multiple balances on separate mints, but the available balance for you to spend will only be the one that the primary mint is sent. So if you come here to settings, I think my relay connection might have broken. Yep, my relay connection broke, but okay, it seems to be working fine. Yeah, so like here I have the default mint, so I'm just using the minibits mint, and it'll only display balances that I have on that mint specifically. So yeah, here you see the 300 sats there, and initially here, whenever I'm like handling the actual payout, I should make sure that I'm updated on the correct key set, and that I'm getting the actual balances that I'm able to spend from that specific mint, and I filter the proofs to make sure that they're actually within that specific key set ID. And that you can just simply with Cashu TS, you can just pay a Lightning invoice simply by just after the Lightning invoice string is generated, you just pass it into PayLN invoice, and then you just get the proofs that are part of that key set, and you can just pay out. This isn't an efficient way of doing it because you want to have give user a greater coin control selection. But obviously, since this isn't like solely a Cashu Wallet app, so I haven't gone through like all the nitty gritty details of making this like a fine tuned thing. Like probably better suited to be like Cashu.me, or is Nutstash still in development? It's still being used? No, not so much anymore. But yeah, that was initially what I was using when I was working with this stuff. But yeah, so when you pay an invoice using in the manner that I do it, I take all the proofs that are part of the mint that you have as available balance, pass it through to the Lightning invoice payment, and whenever doing so, when you have change, it returns a change response to you, and yeah, in the case of actually redeeming in the messages themselves, let's see if I can show it. Oh, now my relay connections died. Okay. Yeah, in the case of redeeming, once it loads, I think I might be able to do it. You have 2 options. So it tries to pay out to your Lightning invoice, and once it does, you need roughly like a 2% fee reserve whenever you're paying out, because otherwise you might not have the satoshis required to actually pay out that Lightning invoice and redeem it for Sats. So we have that 2% fee reserve, and whatever is left over when the Lightning invoice is paid, the user has the ability to either donate directly to us or just keep it for themselves, and it gets redeemed as like an actual Cashu token itself. So here, whenever you see like the change proofs, it just returns that response. You encrypt the proofs and then send it again via DM to the merchant who's claiming the proofs themselves. Yeah, and in order to like reduce a little bit of the compute intensity, we store in local storage in that session, during that session, and then it's always cleared every time you come out, at least for the token proofs themselves. Other settings like your like theme and the relays and things like that, those are always stored for you. Yeah, so yeah, we essentially just filter that, and then once for any action, so minting, paying, redeeming, spending like on an actual item, and then what was the last thing? Receiving, sending, minting, paying, and and shopping. Yeah, so any of those things we actually store a transaction amount, and we publish a spending event, a spending history event, and I can go into the actual code for this. Oh, let's see, should be Nostr helper functions. Yeah, so spending history event. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, so and when publishing a spending history event, essentially you're just stating within the Cashu Wallet, the NIP-60 Cashu Wallet spec, you're stating how the money's actually moving in and out, whether or not it's moving in and out. And this is just to help you if you lose or if you can't fetch specific token proofs, like say you switch relays, or for some reason, well, typically it's only going to be as you switch relays. If like the relay goes down, like you're kind of shit out of luck. You have to. That's an explicit thing that. One of the concerns with NIP-60 is that like now instead of just trusting a mint, you have to actually trust the relay. But typically that's why you should kind of explicitly state to the user, you should be selecting relays that you trust and mints that you trust in order to actually be working with this. Because otherwise, like you're literally trusting money with this, so you have to be actively stating like, okay, I trust this relay to at least have some state, and that's why it's recommended to either have a personal relay, a paid relay, just to make sure that you have consistency across your wallet states. Yeah, if you can't find, if like the relay is down, like if you have multiple relays and you only published a couple, and maybe you switched and you can't find it, the spending history event actually allows you to reference the event that the original token proof was in, and you can then, if you're missing it, you can then fetch that event specifically and re-enter it into your token balance if you weren't able to find it upon initial load. So it should be, let's see, I think it's clear here. Yeah, my internet is, there we go. Wallet event. Oh, here, spending history event. Yeah, so it's a little bit clear to see exactly how like the spending history event here is used. This is an optional event, as I stated earlier. But yeah, as you see here, it just basically allows you to state whether or not sats were coming in or out, the amount value, and then there's 3 token states: created, destroyed, or redeemed. And there should probably be a 4th, the pending state, because that can actually interrupt and like kind of one thing that you can that might happen on Shopstr, if you've redeemed a token or sent a token out to someone, whenever you come back and reload the wallet balance, you might actually still receive that token in because it actually hasn't been claimed, hasn't been paid out, or hasn't been token swapped because the person hasn't actually deposited into their wallet yet. So there's this helps you manage that a little bit better, but there still should be probably a way to claw back the token if you spent it, but they haven't redeemed it yet. But yeah, and I saw a question over here. Oh yeah. There we go. Yeah, I can see here. So yeah, direction, amount, the event, the specific event ID of the token, the relay hint in order to actually find it, and then created, destroyed, redeemed. Those are the things you specify in order for the spending history event. And then here the tag. This is just referencing the wallet event you created in order to be able to find the, as I mentioned yesterday in the NIP-60 wallet event, you have to be able to find the mints that you're using, that you specified as a user, that you want to receive Cashu tokens to, and the relays that you want like zaps to be sent to, or that you want Cashu token proofs to be saved in. And that was like outlined here. Yeah. So you see here, and the balance and the private key aren't needed in the wallet event. The balance is mainly just there, as I mentioned yesterday, to have an initial state to cash and show to the user, okay, this is how much money I actually have in the wallet, roughly. And then once client side, you validate all the tokens that have been spent, like if they've been spent elsewhere, like you just make sure that you're not like reusing them, and so on and so forth, and accumulate the balance and show it there. But yeah, so that's with the spending history event. And for all the signing, Shopstr supports extension signing, so NIP-07, Amber signing, so NIP-55, or rather Android signing for NIP-55, and just standard Nostr tools signing with your NSEC, which is not recommended because due to the fact that like your NSEC stored in memory, it might get leaked if there's like an attack on the site. But we try to mitigate that a little bit by just whenever like using it, we have it encrypted. So anytime you're signed in with your NSEC, you actually have to input your a passphrase that you originally entered when you signed up for the site. So it's a little bit clunky, which I get is intentional because we don't want people to be doing that. We want to kind of make it more, add more friction in that sense. But yeah, that's how we handle all those signing of the events. And Nostr Tools makes it very easy and gives you a little bit more granular control compared to like other development toolkits like NDK. It abstracts a lot, but with Nostr Tools, it makes it nice to just be able to actually get a little bit low level and understand Nostr a little bit better if you're working with it. Yeah, so that's the spending history event. And anytime money's coming in, or you're receiving money from a payment, we always obviously generate the token event. And yeah, so whenever we're publishing a proof event, basically just we're doing both the publishing a spending history event in order to record that money was coming in, and we're publishing the token event itself. And again, the token event is rather simple. It's literally just the token proof encrypted within the content, and then it just has the wallet referencing exactly what wallet it's being deposited to. So it's very simple to query. Yeah, so like this is exactly where I'm creating the Cashu token proof here. And with all of these, wait, what was it gonna? Let me see. Yeah, this is all again just Amber signing, different signing methods here, just to make sure that it's being encrypted properly since you're using NIP-44, and yeah, something to specify here as well. The D tag should be like it shouldn't really be a specific thing. It shouldn't be like in my example, it wouldn't be like a Shopstr wallet. It should just be some arbitrary string, and that's the identifier when using using replaceable events. That's an identifier to make sure that you're actually querying the specific wallet. So like one vision that like Pablo has, for example, for using NIP-60 wallets is essentially like a blue wallet experience. So whenever you're coming on, you can actually fetch, like you usually fetch multiple wallets. The way that Shopstr handles it, we just fetch the latest one, so the one that has like the latest balance on it. But with you could by filtering out for the D tag specifically, you could have multiple wallets, and then whenever you load up on like Shopstr, for example, you can have some modals like, hey, you have 3 different wallets, each with different balances. Which one would you like to use? And like it just makes it very easy to pick and choose exactly what you're doing. Just like Blue Wallet has like multiple payment wallet options for you to be able to just easily swap between the balances that you want to use. Yeah, and then publishes a spending history event here once it's actually handled. And let's see. So receive, pay, transactions. Yeah. And then for the Cashu relays themselves, yeah, that is handled with publishing the wallet event. So that should be here. So one thing actually that I was I forgot who I was talking about it with yesterday. Oh, yeah. With there's one issue at the moment with like relay discovery. So relay discovery is something that's important to consider, especially with the fact that there's only like mini bits is probably the most used, at least that I'm aware of, and we don't want everyone just like joining in and just start using one singular mint, because otherwise it leaves a big honeypot there to be captured. And with the wallet event, it should be the wallet event. With the wallet event, you're publishing alongside the actual state of like what relays and mints to use. You're also publishing just an info event. And typically for Zaps, it's the most important thing. You don't actually need the info event for. You don't need the info event for the normal Cashu tokens that you're bringing into the wallet, because you can just reference the normal wallet event. But the 10,019 kind that is used for Zaps, which should be here. 10,000. Yeah, 10,019. This just explicitly only states the relays, the mints, and the pub key that you're paying out to. So it should just be like either your pub key or the pub key that was generated out of band. And with this, I was thinking with Greg of StatShoot, we were talking about that you probably use this actually as a way to essentially outwardly show that you trust specific mints, because you're essentially storing if you're storing your life savings on like a NIP-60 wallet and want to have portability with your balances, you're gonna have this kind of event, especially when you're receiving zaps and all that stuff. And this, like, it's an explicit and manual process of like selecting the specific relays and mints that you're using. So this simple event itself could actually be used to handle mint discovery, because especially since it's like portable wallet, and you can use it as a bootstrapping mechanism for new users who, like, say for example, I just came in to Nostr and I'm receiving nut zaps, but I haven't established like a specific any of these wallet events or anything. If someone like onboarded me or I follow specific people, I can just query their 10,019s. If someone's trying to zap me a nut information or a nut zap, I can just query some of the people that I follow, their 10,019s, and see, okay, they're using these specific mints. I can just use them to bootstrap to bootstrap their mint balances and just make sure that they actually receive the payments themselves instead of just having them manually, hopefully finding a bitcoinmints.com and just trying to decide which one they actually trust if they have no information that they otherwise wouldn't have found. Yeah, and when publishing the wallet event, it also goes alongside with mainly it's only handled on Shopstr whenever you're here on the settings. Whenever you're actually setting the Cashu Wallet relays themselves, and when you're setting the Cashu mint. So anytime you change the mint or the relays, I always make sure to publish an updated wallet event using the original D tag. So the wallet events are replaceable events. So you can very simply just use the original D tag and just roll over to the new state, and you can delete the old event. You don't have to delete the old event because relays should be handling that on their own. But that's what we do to roll over to new states. So anytime you save those settings, we just generate the event itself. Just basically fetching from local storage the relays that you're posting to, unless you've set Cashu relays and those specific relays themselves. Just getting the mint that you have set or the mints you have set in local storage, and then at the moment we don't give the option to denominate in other fiat values, just Sats. But that will be changed in the near future. So yeah, that's with publishing a wallet event. Let's see. Yeah, so on the invoice payment, so the actual delivery of payment, this is a file that I've been meaning to actually compartmentalize and make a lot simpler because it's just always bogged down. My AI model cannot even I can't feed it to my model whenever I'm actually working with it. But okay, yeah. So yeah, when handling the Lightning payment themselves, it first creates the invoice, gets the invoice URL, and just generates it, just shows it to the user. So I'm just fetching from the Cashu mint and just requesting the invoice data, and I assign it to the invoice, like an invoice state variable, and just display it to the end user, and they can then pay out. So here I'm just constantly checking, and this is something that needs to be updated as well. I believe there's now no longer a need to be constantly querying mints whenever you're trying to check whether or not an invoice has been paid. It's like whenever you see here, let me see if I can show it. Yeah, whenever you're coming to an actual payment page, you'll see here in the console, just for example here, whenever you're paying out, at least on Shopstr at the moment, whenever you're paying with Lightning, so the invoice gets generated, and you'll see here in the console, it should come up. Seems like it's not. Oh, interesting. For some reason, it's not showing up here. Network, maybe. There we go. I don't know. Those are just GET requests, posts. Yeah, you can see them coming in here actually. Yeah, here at the bottom. It's constantly pinging the mint to check has this invoice been paid? Has this invoice been paid? Has this invoice been paid? And if you go back, it actually continues to do that because there's limitations with JavaScript that it just continues to fetch, and obviously it's not really great for resources. Eventually, it just force closes all your relay connections because you're just using too much in the browser. So something to I believe. How is the you have a question? Oh, okay, yeah. So okay. Yeah, so there's a comment that you're still asking the mint whether or not it's actually been paid, but it's not you're not you're just checking. Wait, can you reiterate that? Sorry. Yeah, go for it. Okay, yeah. You get the mint quote state without minting. Yeah, web. That's what it was. Yeah. The WebSocket support for it, so that it becomes Nostr essentially, just communicating over that. Yeah. Yeah. So once you generate the invoice and it's been paid, So like at the moment, it's just constantly pinging whether or not the proofs have generated. Once the proofs are actually made and actually paid out, we just encode them in a Cashu token string, and we just deliver them over the NIP-60 DM. So you see here, I'm just right here. So just awaiting the wallet request. It's just constantly pinging until the payment has actually gone through, and I encode the tokens and then just deliver them here along with like the shipping information and like contact information, whatever's there, if it's been inputted. Yeah, we just capture a little metric here that just shows that how much transaction volume has actually gone through, and it's like displayed here on the metrics page. Yeah, okay, it did load. Yeah, so you'll see here the actual value, Satoshi value that's actually gone through on a specific payment. Yeah, and sending tokens is very simply just like posting an event on Nostr. It just uses Nostr tools there and just delivers it. And this will be updated to use GIF wrap events, so metadata leakage will be kind of mitigated, and it's actually one nice thing about NIP-17 DMs, which is a little bit off the cache topic, but because on Nostr the NIP-04 DM is not a very good spec because of the metadata leakage, and it's rather limited because you can literally only send a message content. But with NIP-17, you can actually state a subject and reference an event that you're actually replying to. So once that's integrated, once you can like message a seller on a specific item, and you'll be able to actually reference a specific listing and have a filter for only events or only messages that are in reference to the like listings themselves. Because at the moment, when you go here, if you see in messages. So this is I filter currently for only Cashu token payments on the order side, and then on inquiries, it's literally all your NIP-04 DMs. So you're just getting, it's like a bunch of other random stuff. See, like there's Michael Saylor who messaged me, and like random people that are just DMing you over NIP-04. But with NIP-17, you can actually filter for specific only inquiries, Shopstr inquiries. So then it's like you get rid of all that like spam. Because in the case of like marketplaces and stuff, any message is just spam unless it's related to your specific listing itself. And that's been one of the biggest complaints from merchants themselves. They want an actual way of making sure that every message they're getting is actually in reference to the listings, which is obvious. Yeah, so... Yeah, I can show for the Cashu payment. So when handling the Cashu payment, and I think I might be able to do it if there's a listing less than 100 sats. Oh yeah, here, cool. So yeah, whenever you're paying with Cashu, it just checks. Oh, I don't have a balance on my wallet. Oh, I think I might have. Oh yeah, refreshing the page, it kind of lost my wallet balance. Oh no. So with the Cashu payment, actually, it won't generate anything. It'll just fetch from your local balance and just pay out directly. So yeah, there's like no like fees associated with it. At least like at the moment. Once like more mints start supporting fee rates, and like we'll have to. That's when like managing coin control will actually be very, very important. So to minimize fees for the end user. But yeah, so. Whenever handling the Cashu payment, create a new mint, create a new wallet. I get the key set again, and I filter for, again, I'm just basically filtering for like the default mint that you have set, and checking that the proofs that are available are the ones that are associated with that mint. And then you just simply Cashu TS has a function that's just send, so that just has the token amount and the proofs that you're using, and it just generates a completely new token with that amount for you, and then again just encode the token and send them over NIP-04. So it's rather simple process whenever just paying directly with Cashu, and then you'll eventually be able to like post the Cashu token string directly, and then it'll just pay out if you don't have any balance in your local wallet itself. Yeah, and then again, we're posting a history event, a spending history event to make sure that you're actually stating, okay, here is the direction that the Cashu token strings are actually going in, and yeah, any change that is left over just gets redeposited back into your wallet, and we publish the proof event of the new token state that you have. So as I said before, instead of deleting only the proofs you have. The partial proofs that have been spent, I'm actually just rolling over everything into a larger state and then publishing that event itself, and then to store it there, because you still have the other individual token events if you want to reference them whenever working with NIP-60. All right. Let's see. Transactions. Yeah. So this is where where I actually handle managing the state of pulling in the Cashu wallets. And this is where it gets like a bit more intensive on the browser side. So yeah, whenever you're with Cashu.ts, you have simple filters. Or not Cashu.ts, sorry, Nostr tools. You have simple filters when querying Nostr events. So you just have to make sure you have the correct relay set whenever you're querying. So here is the main function you use whenever pulling in Nostr events using Nostr tools. So yeah, so you with the relays, on the initial fetching, I just fetch from all the read and write relays because the Cashu Wallet event should actually be published as wide and far as possible. So whenever saving state, we actually blaster the Nostr event to make sure it's actually found somewhere, even if it's not assigned to your specific relays, like your outbox relays. So we fetch from just the general relay list to make sure that we're actually getting like the correct event. It's essentially, it's almost like the 10,019, how it's like a reference for mints and relays, where it should be broadcast widely, and like the NIP-65 outbox model, which is the user's specified relay list. So we fetch the wallet event, make sure that it's actually that there is one there, and I then pull in here. This is where I actually analyze like the wallet event itself, and I pull in. Make it a little larger if I can. Oh, let me close this. Actually, I don't need it. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I can maximize this pane. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot better. Let's see. Should be at the very, very end. Oh, Jesus. Check some messages. I think it would be here. Profile. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I fetch the wallet event, and then I'm just like filtering through all the tags, just finding relays, assigning those to your Cashu wallet relays, finding the mints, assigning those to the mints the F set, and then yeah, just resolving that. And here, the next thing is the proof filter. So I both query for the token events, which are the kind 7375, and the spending history events 7376. Just one to make sure that if token proofs haven't been fetched from the right relays, and I have the spending history event, I can actually verify, okay, this token isn't in the existing set, so I can then add it. Or if the relays, the tokens that I have, one has been spent and I didn't like catch that yet, then I can remove it from the wallet event itself. So yeah, so again, just fetching using the subscription, and here if no Cashu relays have been set by the end user, you should always default to their NIP-60 outbox relays, so the kind 10,002. You got to make sure that you have somewhere to actually be pulling the relays in from. You can't just like hope and guess. So that's why if they have manually set relays, you should just fetch from there and filter for the specific kinds. And yeah, here just simply. I don't actually do anything with the content, so like I myself just like once the token proofs are actually deposited, that's when I calculate the balance. I don't show the cash balance at all. I do have it. I do parse it just like in case, like, but there's no. I don't find a use for it because you can rather quickly once the token proofs are in there just calculate the total value. So yeah, I pull in the token events, unencrypt the NIP-44. That is important if you're receiving zaps, because then you need to be able to unlock. But currently, Shopstr doesn't support nut zaps yet. So yeah, on close. So once all the proofs and spending history have been actually fetched, I then check. Okay, out of the proofs that have been fetched from the proof events themselves that have been fetched from the relays, which of the proofs have been spent, and I only delete the proofs if all of the only delete the proof event if all of the proofs contained within that proof event have been used. So rather than following like the proposed token deletion protocol that's in NIP-61, I like as I explained before, I handle it by just rolling over into a larger state and deleting only if all of them have been spent. Because you can still like check whether or not, okay, has this, you can check against the mint, has this been spent or not, and I can then just not include it in the new event. So yeah, it just filters for any spent proofs. Just simply check proof spent against the wallet and verify there. And I'm only verifying against the default mint. So if there are other tokens, I just don't like manage them at all. I just don't add it to the existing balance. So yeah, and then I then filter in with the spending history. I then filter to make sure that are there any proofs that have been on the out direction and in the destroyed direction, or in the destroyed category, just to verify. Okay, this is one that has gone out and it's not usable at all anymore. So you filter out for those proofs, which I then compare against the existing like wallet state. The proofs that are set there, and filter them out here. So yeah, I just assign the new Cashu proofs to the filtering of the destroyed proofs, and all that will be left over is non-spent proofs. And yeah, and then I then also filter for incoming proofs, and yeah, I then filter for incoming proofs, and if there are any proofs that have not been added to the current existing wallet state, I then add them back in. So yeah, here you can see that I filter out for the out proofs and the events that are not included within the outproof IDs. I then added them to the it's moving a lot. I then added them to the proofs to add back, and then I didn't filter to make sure that the proof events are not aligned in the existing wallet state. So I have the full wallet state. Are the proofs in there? Do they line up with the ones that are coming in? If they are, then I don't do anything. I don't add them in. But if they're not, then I add them into the existing proof state. And yeah, that's the updated the wallet state for you. And then your wallet balance should be updated locally. Yeah, and then at the very end, any proofs that have been fully used, or any events that have been fully used, I just delete them, request deletion. And on Nostr, people say that it's not super reliable. Deletion isn't super reliable. But from my experience, it's been quite reliable, especially with like most posts on Amethyst. And if you just blaster the deletion request, like usually you can't find it anymore. Unless obviously a lot of apps now are like local, trying to be local first, so they cache a lot. That's the only instance where the deletion events might not actually work. That's one reason actually why on the client side I wipe the wallet balance before fetching everything. Otherwise, like there might be like duplicate state, and you might be like trying to double spend tokens that you don't actually have. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So I've gone over how we're fetching and handling the wallet event, how we're requesting mints. This I believe is just the wallet, how it's actually handled here. Yeah, and like here, this is where I shows where I locally just calculate the wallet balance itself, and just set it, and it's constantly pinging the local storage and checking like, okay, is there new tokens that have been come in, and then it just displays the balance itself. Yeah, and then preferences, that was the settings, and then that's where we publish the wallet event. Payment, transactions. Yeah, the transaction history. This was like basically somewhat taken from Nutstash, how they handled it, except I didn't include the proof event because I didn't want to associate it with a specific token. So I'm just stating like the specific, whenever I store it locally, I'm just stating the type that it was. So that, like again, like the 5 types were receiving, sending, minting, paying, and then shopping, and then it just displays an info for it, the little icon for it, the amount, and the date that it happened. And if whenever you using NIP-60, as you saw, if there's no if you are just fetching in new tokens, and you didn't do that in that state of the browser, it won't have that transaction history there, so you know exactly how much balance was from external wallet, or from external NIP-60 wallet. And then yeah, so sending, sending also it just simply uses the that Cashu TS function for just send. So sending again just passes in the filtered proofs. Yeah, it just passes in. I filter the proofs to make sure that the key set is actually the proper key set is being used, and that the proper tokens are being used, the value that you want, and then it just send generates a new token, and then you just encode it and send it over DM. And yeah, and that's one of the great things I think about because Cash is just text, you can just simply render it as anything you want, which is even though it's rather simple, it's pretty powerful because you can like render it to your grandma or a relative of yours who doesn't really know what sats are. You can render it as a fiat denomination and like literally you let it look like a little dollar bill, like it is in like Boardwalk Cash. It's like even it's simple, but it's really powerful. I think. Yeah, and then receive button. So when receiving, here. So when receiving, since we don't support Cashu B, just Cashu A. I'm on like the older version of Cashu TS. So I decode the token, the Cashu token string, and then from it you can extract the mint and the proofs that are being used. And I just check whether or not they're actually being spent, or rather not whether or not they have been spent. And if they haven't, then I just continue through and I filter for making sure that they haven't already been added to the wallet state. Because double spending is somewhat possible on Cashu, you can, I make sure to not allow, if you already have wallet balance locally, I don't allow you to add anything back if the proofs match. Just like a little filtering mechanism to try and prevent that as much as possible. Yeah, and then it just checks whether or not there's duplicate proofs in here, and returns just the greater wallet state. And whenever that's done, it just publishes the wallet event itself with the updated cached wallet balance and the proof event of the full wallet state here. So yeah, just assign there, and the spending history event to show that you actually received money rather than something else. Paying button. So the paying, this is where you pay out to just a Lightning invoice. We're gonna have camera support and then just paying out to LNURL soon, like within the wallet itself, because we already pay out to Lightning addresses within the messages themselves. So whenever paying out, I just again filter for the correct proofs, pay the LN invoice, and it's very similar to just paying with the Lightning address, and yeah. Getting the response there. Mint button, invoice card. Let me show the messages because this should have the redeem, I believe. Decrypted, encrypted content. Handle send message. Handle send gift wrap. No, that's new stuff. Let's see. Oh, it might not be here. Redeem. Let's see. Oh, I think I should know where it is. Let's see. That should be somewhere here. Claim button. Yeah, here we go. All right, so this is where we handle the LNURL redemption once it loads. Yeah, it's the one issue with cloud IDs. Like if you need internet, you need good internet. Let's see. Yeah, essentially, we're just using Albi tools here, if I remember. Yeah, Lightning address, the Lightning tools that Albi has, just to make it simple. One, for currency conversions, because Shopstr actually supports 160 currencies, I think. So you can just like denominate in whatever currency, and then it'll give you the exchange rate for in Satoshis whenever it gets the payment gets delivered. And we also use that to generate the Lightning address invoices from the end user who's receiving who's redeeming the Cashu token payment. So yeah, so receiving this is the right one. So yeah, so this is the state where we handle whether or not you're actually depositing it into the local storage, to the local wallet storage. And we just again, whenever receiving, we check that the proofs have not been spent, filter them, and then just make sure that there's no duplicates, and then we publish a proof event to make sure that it's actually stored on your relay and published out, broadcast, and a spending history event, and an updated wall event with the new cash balance. And when redeeming, here is where we just using Lightning, the Albi tools. You just generate a new Lightning address based on the URL, the LN URL from the kind 0 metadata on Nostr. So if you want to get any profile information from a user, you fetch a kind 0, and then their Lightning address should be stated in the LUD16 field, and you just pull that in. And across the app, we use context, so it's like context hell on the application. You're just like fetching in and like making sure that the states are set on the initial render, and then you can just pull in anywhere in the application to make sure that you're getting the right information. So yeah, I'm pulling in the LN URL from the kind 0 metadata, and then just fetching an invoice, generating a new invoice, rendering it, and then or not rendering it rather, just fetching a new invoice, paying out, and using the payout invoice function from Cashu TS, and getting any response change. So here, the change proofs, whenever you're paying out to your wallet, checks, okay, has it been spent? Has it been spent? Get the change, and then you give the user the option to actually redeem or deposit it. So let's see if I can actually do that here, because it's not been loading. Let's see, 1 second. Okay. Once my messages load, should update. Yeah. Okay. So here, claim, redeem. Let's see if it goes through, because I redeemed it to my wallet, so it might not actually be available. So redeem. Once it goes through, yeah, it's fetching the invoice and then paying out, attempting to pay out. If there's not enough balance, then, or if there's not enough tokens here, then it might not go through. Otherwise, it defaults if you're unable to redeem, because we assume that if you're unable to redeem, that you do not have a Lightning address set up. It just deposits it into your wallet immediately, so it just saves state there. Let's see, connection might have crapped out here. Nope, seems fine. Let me try this again. There we go. Yeah. So here we go. So when the token redemption fails, it just deposits it into your wallet itself. Gives you an info message there, and then it should and because of the fact that we're filtering for unspent proofs, no wallet balance update happened because it was already saved locally. But yeah, I think let's see if I can actually. I don't know. I did not try this, so let me see if I can actually port it over to Highlighter and load here. So let's see if I can show that the NIP-60 in action on a different application. If I have good enough internet to do this. Okay, so Highlighter loaded. So Highlighter is Pablo's client, which is a long form like content client for Nostr, and he built in a NIP-60 supported wallet. So whenever creating a wallet on Highlighter, you should be able to fetch from. You should be able to fetch it actually on Shopstr, so you'll be able to use it locally. But I am not sure if it will go the other way around at the moment, because you might be filtering solely for specific types of D tags in the events. If it loads, let's see. Oh, I don't think it loaded at all. Yeah. Let's try nutsack. Waiting. There we go. Okay. So I think keys wallet. It can be not very stable. Definitely not. Let's see. Yeah, it's seeming like these are the only ones that are actually lnw.cash. Let's see, I'm just shilling these other projects that are supporting it at the moment, but due to latency issues, I'm not sure if I'll be able to actually show them. Yeah, I think it's taking a little bit too long. So that's essentially. I'm pretty sure I covered basically everything there, and then and another thing, I guess, when actually fetching the Cashu Wallet stuff, I do not allow if they're signing with an NSEC. Because of the bit of the clunkiness and having the NSEC stored in memory, I try not to allow the user to really actually use the Cashu Wallet itself. It's there, but with signing with an NSEC itself, it's not as reliable due to the fact that it's constantly requiring the NSEC, and you have to consistently keep inputting the passphrase whenever actually querying for the token events. So you might not actually be getting it'll constantly be pinging, and you input the passphrase, and the relay connection might actually time out. with a long enough time frame. Yeah, so here they again just call the Cashu Wallet itself, and then again I filter just like one last time, making sure that there's an actual values within it, and then just store it locally. Um, yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah, so basically went over how Shopstr actually pays out using Cashu TS, and it's a fantastic library if you're working with TypeScript and like just you trying to play around with Cashu, especially if you just go to their documentation, you see how like small it is to just mint a token and pay out and like start using it. And how we deposit and handle cache token encryption, how we store it locally, and use NIP-60 to save state across the wallet. And it was actually NIP-60 came at a great time because when I was developing Shopstr, I was solely relying on local storage at the time, and I had a couple merchants who were actually, for some reason, I did not know people even did this. They were shopping and like using like the pop-up browser that comes up whenever using an application. So like every single time they would close out, they lost state every single time. So they just had to constantly be re-signing in. It's like, oh shit, like your wallet balance is not going to be there whenever you redeem. And they were redeeming to their Cashu wallet balance. Thankfully, they had like backups and like you could still like access your messages and claim them again. But yeah, due to that, I was like, oh, I need to find a way to actually have a good backup way, a good way of backing up your Cashu tokens. And NIP-60, I was like talking to Pablo, and then he like came up with the idea, and it was fantastic timing to be able to actually handle that state. So now you can actually carry over your wallet balance and like have at least somewhat okay reliability when it comes to making sure you have your balances where you want it to be. But yeah, if there's any other questions or you want me to like kind of clarify something or go back to a specific piece in the code, just let me know. Yeah, yeah.
Can you talk about how the new merchants are onboarded in terms of setting up their wallet and picking a mint for them?
Yeah, so by default we use the mini bits mint, but I'm actually after thinking about like the declaration of the 10,019, I'm actually gonna be start using that to bootstrap. So like if they're a new merchant but already have a Nostr following, or they have follow people on Nostr, I'm gonna be fetching their 10,019s of the people they follow, and then using that like basically filtering it, compressing it down, and only using like essentially like a web of trust. You can specify like, okay, I want at least 3 people to be using this mint that I know in order to decide whether or not I want to use it for my own. So that'll like bootstrap it for them. If they don't have a following on Nostr, then I'll just be defaulting to the mini bits mint. But Shopstr, I'll actually be spinning one up for Shopstr itself with some liquidity and like probably using that, because most of the transactions here on Shopstr are usually around like $20 to $70 whenever they're made. So like, it's like in that rough range. So that's like and it's not too frequent. I think Shopstr facilitated around like 5 million sats worth just on Cashu alone. And then like out of band, like there's been like a few million as well that are just like not using our payment thing. But yeah, to bootstrap the merchants, use a 10,019 as a reference, because it's like basically like a manual attestation. And I feel those are very powerful, but they're very clunky unless you're like a person who's like already somewhat used to like, oh, okay, like manually going through relays and everything. It's a nicer way for a new user to get onboarded. Yeah, or just default to mini bits, at least for the time being. We're gonna probably have more dynamic once multipath payments come out, actually, or once it's like more supported on Cashu TS. I'm gonna abstract away probably the usage of mint completely and just distribute it to as much as possible, to as many mints as possible, and like allow like reserves and allow them to like granularly decide, okay, how much I want in specific balances. So that'll be how that's handled eventually. Yeah.
Right now, you're not actually looking for a common mint for the payer and for the sender of payment and the recipient, right?
No, yeah, we actually because like the mint information is included in the encoded token. You don't actually have to have a common mint. You can just redeem, and then if you're redeeming into the wallet, it'll be saved in state with the mint that is specified in that token. So you'll still be able to access it from the mint that the sender minted it on, or if you redeem out, it just pays out to your Lightning address. So it's not you don't unless the user themselves wants to use a specific mint, which we haven't allowed for yet, like you said, then there's no need to handle that because in most cases they redeem and aren't currently like holding the balance because like for good reason, right? Because it's still pretty like niche technology, but it's yeah eventually being able to swap into a trusted mint will definitely need to be considered. Oh, he's got one.
Just curious if Shopstr is using deterministic nuts or no.
No, no, it is not using deterministic nuts. Yeah, not yet.
Oh, is it on the roadmap or?
Yeah. And same with pay to pub key.
All right.
Yeah. Pay to pub key nuts. Those will be great too, because one friction at the moment when actually paying out, or when getting paid for at least for the buyer, if they already have like wallet balance and stuff, you might want to pay with you sometimes might want to pay publicly. Like some merchants might want that. So having like a Zap payment would be fantastic. I don't like the normal Lightning Zap spec that much, but with with Nut Zaps, you can just like lock it publicly and show like, okay, I paid 100,000 sats for this like I don't know shirt or whatever, and like the merchant can show like they have like actual validation. They're like, okay, there's an actual verifiable payment spend, and they can show like, okay, there's other merchants that are there's people that are actually using this and people that are buying their goods, so they can like broadcast that to the network a little bit more. All right. If that's it, thank you guys very much. And yeah, I'll give you back like the last 15 minutes here.